So the last book that I want to show you in this spotlight session on maps and atlases is another kind of atlas. We have a few examples of this type of atlas, and it is a map of the stars. So this particular one is a lovely large book. This is the stars in 6 maps on the Mnemonic projection, and this is, as it says, designed and arranged by Sir John Lubbock and published by the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge. Now, Sir John Lubbock was the 3rd baronet of that name, John William Lubbock, and he came from a banking family. So the family had made their money as bankers, Lubbock and Co Banks. But he was also a mathematician and astronomer, very well renowned for his scientific knowledge. He was a fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society and the Royal Society. He was the first Vice-Chancellor of the University of London, and he joined the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge in 1829. Now, that society was founded in 1826 in order to publish cheap texts on science and so on for people without access to formal education or who preferred to be self-taught on these kinds of subjects. It was disbanded in 1846, but within that time it published a lot of sort of textbooks, as we would say, sort of school teaching type books, including things such as publishing maps and atlases. And this is their atlas of the stars. So you can see the paper's quite foxed, and it's not the easiest thing to actually kind of pass when you're looking at it. So this was published around about 1853. It includes the stars themselves, some with their names, some with just number designations. But what it also includes in colour is images of the constellations. So the constellations, as we're all aware, are basically people projecting images onto the layout of stars as you see them in the sky. So the stars themselves don't form these patterns. There's no actual connection between the different stars in a specific constellation. It's just the way that they look from this particular angle. But these are the constellations as traditionally known. And the pictures depict the constellations. So here we have the ram, that is Aries, and the stars within Aries are all noted within the picture of the ram. Here's a winged horse, so that will be Pegasus. And a lot of them are human figures. All the human figures are shown from behind, which means that there's a lot of bottoms in this book. So quite nicely painted though, with, you know, little blush on the cheeks and different colouring on the skin and so on. But on almost every page of maps, there's a bottom. 2 bottoms on this one. It's notable that the female figures are all clothed, but the male figures are all naked, which is quite interesting. But yes, this basically makes a very beautiful book, even though the kind of basis for these constellations is rather spurious. It is a really nice way of showing them, and they are a useful way of trying to learn stars and the patterns and where you're looking in the sky. Learning the constellations is a good way to orientate yourself. So this is rather lovely. The colouring on the constellations is rather beautiful. There's another bottom here, riding a snake, which is quite interesting. Nice centaur down here as well, and the scorpion of Scorpio. The other maps of the stars that we have in the collection don't have the colouring. They're all just black and white, which makes it very confusing to look at, really. I guess if you know what you're looking at, then it's much easier to interpret. But this one I thought I'd get out because it does look more beautiful as well, but also because it is much easier to see which bits they've added in and what you're looking at when there is a different colouring on it. So as I say, we have a couple of these in the collection. They are interesting to look at, and they do have quite a lot of useful astronomical knowledge in, as well as a lot of bottoms. So thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this spotlight session. As I say, it's quite possible that in the future I'll do another one on some of the other maps and atlases that we had. But in the meantime, the next session which I'm planning is on Nottingham architects and engineers. So look out for that in about a month's time.